There are two kinds of people in this world: those who drift through life reacting to whatever comes, and those who live by a set of laws so precise, so deliberate, that every action they take bends the future in their favor. If you are here, it is because you are tired of drifting. You have felt the weight of wasted days, the frustration of knowing you are capable of more but not yet living it. And you are ready to cross the line from hoping to deciding, from wishing for success to engineering it. If I could strip success down to its barest essence, to the pure mechanics that move a man or woman from obscurity to mastery, I would give you not 100 different tricks, but a handful of daily disciplines, 6 habits so potent that they will, over time, determine everything about your destiny. These habits are not glamorous. They will not excite you with novelty. They will demand more of you than you are giving right now. But if you ignore them, you will pay the price in mediocrity. If you embrace them, they will build a mind so sharp and a will so unshakable that no force on earth can deny you. The first habit is definiteness of purpose. Most people live without it. They wake up with no target, they move without direction, they react to whatever circumstances demand of them. They are like ships without rudders, pushed here by the winds of emotion, pulled there by the currents of obligation. This is why they are tired and unfulfilled, not because life is too hard, but because they are scattering their energy across 1,000 meaningless things. Definiteness of purpose means you know exactly what you want, you know why you want it, and you are willing to reorder every part of your life to get it. You wake with a single question: what will I do today that takes me closer to my goal? Every conversation, every choice, every use of your time passes through this filter. If it advances your aim, it is allowed. If it distracts you, it is cut away. Do not mistake definiteness of purpose for a vague hope or a mood of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm fades, purpose remains. It is written down, burned into your mind, repeated to yourself until it becomes the compass by which you navigate every hour. Without it, you will lose yourself in the chaos of other people's demands. With it, you will move through life like a guided missile, adjusting your course when necessary, but never losing sight of the target. The second habit is self-discipline. If purpose is the compass, discipline is the engine. Without discipline, purpose is a parked car. It looks good on paper, but it goes nowhere. Self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what must be done, when it must be done, whether you feel like it or not. It is the mastery of impulse, the refusal to negotiate with excuses, the relentless execution of what you decided in your moments of clarity. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for inspiration, for motivation, for the perfect conditions. They will wait forever. The successful man understands that action creates readiness, not the other way around. He moves forward even when the body is tired and the mind is resistant. He understands that feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. Discipline begins with the small things. Rising when you said you would rise, completing the work you said you would complete, keeping the promises you made to yourself. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your will. Every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken it. Over time, these tiny victories or tiny defeats accumulate into a mind that either obeys you without resistance or one that rebels at every command. The third habit is emotional detachment. This is the rarest and most misunderstood of the 6. Emotional detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means you control what you feel, when you feel it, and how it influences your decisions. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you will destroy your own progress. Anger will make you act too soon. Fear will stop you from acting at all. Excitement will make you overreach. Discouragement will make you quit too soon. The emotionally detached individual experiences all emotions, but does not take orders from them. He may feel fear, but he does not let fear choose his words. He may feel joy, but he does not let joy make him careless. He stands above his feelings as a commander stands above his army, directing them when useful, restraining them when dangerous. This detachment is built by training yourself to pause before reacting. When provoked, you do not lash out. When tempted, you do not rush in. When faced with loss, you do not collapse. You give yourself the space to choose the response that serves your purpose, not your mood. Over time, this habit will give you a power others cannot understand. The power to remain steady when everyone else is losing their grip. The fourth habit is accurate thinking. Accurate thinking is the discipline of separating facts from opinions, reality from rumor, essentials from non-essentials. The world is full of noise, and most of it is irrelevant. Without accurate thinking, you will waste time solving problems that don't matter, chasing opportunities that don't exist, or defending yourself against attacks that are not real. The accurate thinker does not accept ideas without proof. He questions his own assumptions as fiercely as he questions the claims of others. He is not swayed by flattery, by panic, or by popular opinion. He studies the facts, measures them against his definite purpose, and decides accordingly. This habit saves time, money, and energy resources most people squander because they make decisions in the fog of assumption. The man who thinks accurately cuts through that fog and moves forward on solid ground, while the masses stumble in confusion. The fifth habit is personal initiative. This is the habit of acting without being told. It is the refusal to wait for permission, the instinct to see what needs to be done and do it without delay. The majority move only when pushed. They are reactive, waiting for circumstances, instructions, or emergencies to spur them into action. Personal initiative means you push yourself. You set your own standards higher than those set for you. It is initiative that transforms ideas into reality. It is initiative that moves a plan from paper to profit. It is initiative that solves problems before they become crises. And it is initiative that marks you as a leader, even if your title says otherwise. The sixth habit is persistence. Persistence is the refusal to quit when progress is slow, when results are invisible, when obstacles appear immovable. It is the discipline of continuing to advance even inch by inch until the target is reached. Most people fail not at the beginning, but in the middle, when the excitement has worn off and the work is still hard. Persistence is the bridge between the dream and its reality. Persistence does not mean blind repetition. It means you keep moving forward while adapting your strategy as needed. You learn from setbacks, but you do not stop because of them. You endure criticism without being broken by it. You accept delays without letting them become defeats. These 6 habits, definiteness of purpose, self-discipline, emotional detachment, accurate thinking, personal initiative, and persistence, are the foundation of every fortune, the core of every lasting success. But they will mean nothing if you do not make them daily. A habit is not something you do when it's convenient. It is something you do without fail, until it becomes part of your very nature. We begin with definiteness of purpose in its most advanced form. Most men believe they have a purpose when in truth they have nothing more than a passing wish. A wish evaporates when opposed. A true purpose intensifies under pressure. If your aim can be talked down by a critic or postponed by inconvenience, it was never a purpose. It was a momentary desire wearing the mask of ambition. Definiteness of purpose is not declared once. It is reaffirmed daily. It is the filter through which all information, all decisions, and all associations are screened. Every conversation is weighed. Does this move me closer to my purpose? If yes, you engage. If no, you disengage without apology. In the advanced practice of this habit, you will create what I call a purpose protocol, a fixed set of rules that govern how your time, energy, and resources are spent. Your purpose becomes a sovereign law over your life. This means the elimination of activities that serve no aim, no matter how pleasurable they may be in the moment. It means setting terms for relationships, not drifting into them. It means saying no more than you say yes, because every yes is a withdrawal from the bank account of your time, and your time is your capital. Without this discipline, you will live scattered. With it, you will move like a sniper, one target, one shot, one inevitable hit. Now to self-discipline at its highest level. Here is the truth most do not want to hear. Self-discipline is not about forcing yourself to work harder. It is about structuring your life so that you cannot avoid the work that matters. The undisciplined man uses willpower as his first line of defense. The disciplined man uses environment, schedule, and accountability, so that willpower is only needed in moments of crisis. You will make discipline inevitable by designing what I call non-negotiable structures. Your workspace will contain only what you need for the task at hand, no diversions within arm's reach. Your day will have fixed launch points times at which certain tasks must begin regardless of mood. You will bind yourself with commitments that create pressure to act, deadlines given to others, public declarations of intent, contracts that penalize inaction. In this way, discipline stops being an act of heroism and becomes an act of inevitability. Your system forces the result. Now, emotional detachment refined to the level of a master. At the beginner's stage, detachment is about pausing before reacting. At the master's stage, detachment is about controlling the environment in which emotions are formed. Instead of trying to wrestle down fear after it has arisen, you design your life to reduce the number of fear-inducing situations you face unnecessarily. Instead of calming anger after insult, you build boundaries that prevent the insult from reaching you in the first place. This is what I call emotional architecture, the deliberate construction of a mental and physical life that minimizes unnecessary emotional interference and maximizes the space for clear, accurate thought. You choose your associates carefully, avoiding those who thrive on drama. You control your exposure to media designed to provoke outrage or panic. You limit your presence in environments where chaos is constant. By removing sources of noise, you make calmness your default state. And when a storm does break, you meet it with the strength of someone whose mind is not already frayed by daily disturbances. Then, accurate thinking at its strategic apex. The novice accurate thinker is cautious in accepting claims. The master accurate thinker actively seeks disconfirming evidence for his own beliefs. He understands that the greatest threat to accuracy is not the lies told by others, but the comfortable lies he tells himself. You must adopt the discipline of mental cross-examination. Treat every thought as a witness in the courtroom of your mind. Demand evidence, demand logic, demand relevance. If the thought fails to meet the standard, dismiss it even if it pleases you, especially if it pleases you. The truth does not always flatter, but it always strengthens. This habit will make you dangerous in the best sense. Others will wonder why you are never fooled by hype, why you are never swept up in mass panic. The answer will be simple. You do not operate on unverified information, and you do not allow feeling to outrun fact. Next, personal initiative advanced into leadership force. Most people think initiative means starting projects on your own. At the highest level, it means creating momentum in others without asking for permission. The master of initiative sets things in motion that others must respond to. He controls the pace of play. This is what I call initiative positioning, moving first in a way that forces the environment to adapt to you. In negotiation, it means setting the agenda before the meeting begins. In business, it means launching a product that changes the terms of competition. In personal development, it means adopting habits so far beyond the norm that your very presence challenges others to elevate their standard. Finally, persistence at the unbreakable stage. Most people think persistence is simply not quitting. At the advanced level, persistence is adaptive continuation, the ability to keep moving toward the goal while changing form, method, or path as needed. The mountain climber does not insist on walking straight up a sheer cliff. He finds another route, but he never stops ascending. This requires long-term emotional neutrality. You do not get too high on progress, and you do not sink too low in setbacks. You measure by trajectory, not by the mood of the day. You understand that success is often the result of holding your position long enough for the tide to turn in your favor. Persistence is not merely endurance. It is the strategic application of time until the opponent, whether competition, circumstance, or resistance itself, has exhausted its strength. The man who masters definiteness of purpose and leaves it there is like an architect who draws a flawless blueprint but never builds. The man who builds self-discipline without purpose is like a soldier who trains without knowing what war he is fighting. The man who perfects emotional detachment but has no initiative is like a ship that sails in perfect stability but never leaves port. The 6 habits are not 6 roads, they are 6 gears in the same machine, and the machine works only when all turn together. To integrate them, we begin with purpose as the driver. Your purpose determines the direction of your discipline. Without a chosen destination, discipline will be misapplied to trivial pursuits. Purpose also determines which emotions must be harnessed and which must be silenced. It tells you which facts are relevant for accurate thinking and which noise must be ignored. It dictates where to take initiative and when persistence is worth the price. Once purpose is set, discipline becomes the enforcer. It translates the vision into daily, non-negotiable action. It keeps you on course when the emotional climate changes. It forces the implementation of accurate thinking instead of acting on first impressions. It ensures initiative is not sporadic but constant, and persistence is not left to chance but becomes a conditioned reflex. Emotional detachment serves as the stabilizer. It shields the purpose from emotional storms. It allows discipline to function without interference from fear, anger, or excessive excitement. It keeps accurate thinking clear when others cloud their minds with panic. It lets initiative be taken without fear of judgment and persistence to continue without being broken by setbacks. Accurate thinking acts as the navigator. It interprets the terrain, separates truth from illusion, and points discipline toward the most efficient path. It ensures initiative is directed where it will have the highest leverage, and persistence is applied in battles that matter, not in fighting over ground that is worthless. Personal initiative fuels momentum. It moves purpose forward without waiting for ideal conditions. It turns accurate thinking into action before competitors have even considered the first step. It forces the environment to adapt to your moves, rather than you adapting to the environment. It shortens timelines, accelerates gains, and keeps persistence from stagnating into waiting. Finally, persistence locks the system together. It ensures that the other 5 habits do not collapse when results are slow or resistance is high. It is the constant heartbeat that keeps the machine alive through all seasons, allowing the other habits to work long enough to produce compounding results. When these 6 are woven together, they become a self-reinforcing cycle. Purpose defines the target. Discipline moves toward it daily. Detachment keeps the course steady. Accurate thinking keeps the course true. Initiative accelerates progress. Persistence ensures the journey continues until the goal is reached. At this stage, success stops being a question of if, it becomes a matter of when. But integration is not enough. For this machine to run at peak efficiency, it must be tuned by what I call the law of tight feedback. Every day you ask yourself 3 questions. Did I advance my definite purpose today? Did I act with discipline regardless of mood? Did I remain detached enough to think and act clearly under pressure? You review your answers without self-deception. If a gear slips, you correct it immediately. You do not wait for failure to expose the flaw, you catch it in the daily audit. Over time, this produces a system so precise that any deviation feels unnatural and is corrected automatically. From here, the 6 habits evolve into an identity. You no longer practice them. You are them. You wake with purpose. You act with discipline. You meet challenges with detachment. You think with accuracy. You move with initiative. You endure with persistence. And when this identity is formed, you cross a threshold very few reach. You are no longer chasing success. Success is chasing you because you have become the kind of person success cannot avoid. It is in high-pressure situations that a person's habits reveal themselves without disguise. In the quiet of planning, anyone can claim to be disciplined, detached, accurate in thought. But when the deal is collapsing, when the competitor is moving faster, when the market shifts overnight in those moments, the truth of your preparation is exposed. Let us begin with definiteness of purpose in negotiation. The average negotiator enters the room with vague goals: get a good deal, see what's possible. This vagueness makes them vulnerable. The other side defines the terms, controls the pace, and sets the frame. By the time they realize they are defending instead of advancing, they have already lost. The man with definiteness of purpose knows exactly what he will accept, exactly what he will refuse, and exactly which concessions he is willing to trade. He enters not to see what happens, but to execute a clear outcome. Every statement, every question, every silence is chosen to advance this purpose. This certainty radiates in tone, posture, and pace, and it shapes the other side's perception long before figures are on the table. Now, self-discipline in competitive strategy. In business or personal advancement, there will always be opportunities to move faster at the cost of moving wrongly. The undisciplined competitor chases every lead, accepts every client, engages every distraction. Their calendar is full, but their results are scattered. The disciplined operator turns down work that doesn't align with the master plan. He refuses the urgent in favor of the important. He follows the sequence that maximizes leverage, even if it means letting the impatient swarm ahead for now. Months later, when those rivals have burned out chasing too many fronts, the disciplined one's position is unassailable. Then, emotional detachment in crisis management. When bad news hits, the reactive leader seeks immediate relief, firing staff in panic, dumping investments, retreating to defensive positions without analysis. They survive the day but damage the future. The detached leader breathes, observes, asks, what actually happened? What remains unchanged? What can be leveraged in this moment? They gather information, identify the calmest point of control, and act only from there. This is why in every crisis, the detached mind often emerges stronger than before, not because the crisis was avoided, but because it was converted into advantage. Accurate thinking in market reading. Trends rise, rumors spread, and the herd moves like a single nervous animal. Accurate thinkers profit where others panic because they separate signal from noise. They measure every piece of information against hard evidence and their definite purpose. They know the difference between a market correction and a structural collapse, between a temporary setback and a true strategic threat. Accurate thinking is what keeps the investor from selling in fear and buying in mania. It is what keeps the entrepreneur from chasing every shift in fashion. It is what allows the strategist to move against the crowd with precision timing. Personal initiative and opportunity capture. In any competitive field, opportunities have a short lifespan. They appear unannounced and vanish if not seized. Most wait for an official invitation, for the perfect alignment of resources, for permission from someone above them. By then, the moment is gone. The one who has cultivated initiative moves without waiting. They make the first call, they book the meeting, they present the idea before it is requested, they begin building the bridge before the river even becomes an obstacle. Initiative means you are in motion while others are still deciding if motion is safe. And persistence in long campaigns. There are ventures that require months, even years, of sustained pressure before they yield results, building a company, entering a new market, mastering a rare skill. The majority drop out somewhere along the way, not because they cannot continue, but because they tire of continuing without seeing immediate reward. Persistence means holding the vision so firmly that the absence of short-term reward does not weaken your grip. It means recalibrating without retreating, adjusting tactics without abandoning strategy. It means arriving at the place others could have reached, but didn't, simply because you were still moving when they stopped. When these habits function in the applied arena, they make you formidable. Competitors may outnumber you, but they cannot outlast you. Rivals may move faster in bursts, but they cannot match your consistency. Those who seek to manipulate you find no buttons to push. Those who hope you will quit learn that you cannot. It is easy to appear disciplined when the schedule is smooth. It is easy to think clearly when the facts are obvious. It is easy to feel persistent when results are arriving on time. But life will not always allow you the luxury of single challenges. There will come a season, and perhaps it has already come for you, when every front of your life is under siege. The market will turn against you. A key ally will withdraw. A personal betrayal will strike when you are already tired. Resources will dwindle. The deadline will draw closer while the path ahead becomes more obstructed. And in that moment, you will feel the pull of every temptation you have trained to resist, to abandon purpose for comfort, to let discipline slip just this once, to give your emotions the driver's seat, to believe the rumor instead of verifying the fact, to wait for permission instead of moving, to stop telling yourself you will try again later. This is the stress test, the moment the weak collapse and the strong ascend. It is here that the integrated power of the 6 habits reveals itself. When definiteness of purpose is intact, it becomes your anchor. You do not chase every temporary relief. You keep the line tied to the long-term goal. While others flail in all directions, you move in one. When self-discipline is intact, you keep executing the critical actions even as your energy wanes. You do not surrender to the fatigue of the moment. You work your system because you have trained yourself to obey it without negotiation. When emotional detachment is intact, you make decisions from clarity, not from fear. You do not trade the future for the illusion of immediate safety. You refuse to let insult, loss, or flattery throw you off course. When accurate thinking is intact, you separate real threats from imagined ones. You discard the noise, focus on the facts, and prevent panic from distorting your vision. When personal initiative is intact, you act before conditions improve. You create momentum where there is none. You move without waiting for the perfect alignment, knowing that progress itself attracts the resources and allies you need. And when persistence is intact, you simply do not stop. It does not matter that the pace is slower, that the ground is uneven, that the applause is gone. You continue. You remain. You outlast. Here is the truth. The stress test will not make you great. It will reveal whether you already are. If the 6 habits have only been words to you, the stress test will strip them away. But if they have been daily practices, lived until they are your nature, you will emerge from that season with a power that cannot be taken from you. You will find yourself standing when others have fallen, and the very people who doubted you will whisper that you were lucky, though you will know luck had nothing to do with it. The stress test is the doorway to a higher tier of mastery, one where your reputation begins to precede you, not because you say you are unshakable, but because you have proven it under fire. The unshakable mindset oath. From this day forward, I govern myself. I do not drift, I do not wait. I do not surrender the helm of my mind to mood, to chance, or to the will of another. I stand in definiteness of purpose. My direction is chosen, my target is fixed, and all roads that do not lead to it are closed. I will not trade my aim for comfort. I will not dilute my vision to fit the weakness of those who cannot see it. My life moves in one line, and that line is forward. I stand in self-discipline. My word to myself is law. I rise when I say I will rise. I finish what I start. I obey my own commands without hesitation. My discipline does not answer to my moods. My moods answer to my discipline. I stand in emotional detachment, I feel, but I do not follow feeling. I use emotion as fuel, not as a compass. Praise will not make me reckless. Criticism will not make me retreat. Fear will not make me freeze. Anger will not make me act before I see. I stand in accurate thinking. I live by fact, not by rumor, by reality, not by wish. I test every thought, even the ones I love, and I discard what is false, no matter how comfortable it is to believe. I stand in personal initiative. I move before I am told. I act without being asked. I start before the conditions are perfect. I create the opening instead of waiting for it. I force the pace instead of following it. I stand in persistence. I do not stop when it is hard, when it is slow, when the applause is gone. I endure without self-pity. I adapt without quitting. I stay until the work is done, until the goal is mine, until the mountain is moved. This is my oath. It is not a promise for today only. It is the code of my life. It does not bend for fatigue. It does not break for failure. It does not dissolve in comfort. I will live by this until my name means something, until my work stands without my voice to defend it, until my wealth in character, in influence, in fortune is undeniable and unshakable. And when that day comes, I will not relax into softness, for I know the habits that built me are the same habits that will keep me. I will guard them as I would guard my life, for in truth they are my life. I am not waiting for the world to give me power. I am not hoping for the chance to succeed. I am creating it here, now, every day. This is the unshakable mindset, and I will never abandon it. The mind you have disciplined is not a static structure. It is alive. It responds to what you feed it, what you expose it to, and what you demand from it. If you neglect it, it will soften. If you challenge it, it will sharpen. The danger is not that you will forget the habits. The danger is that you will let them calcify into routines, mistaking motion for mastery. The force of continuous sharpening must be built into your life as deliberately as your morning routine. Just as a blade dulls from use, even if it is used well, your mental edge will dull if you do not rehone it. This sharpening comes from exposing yourself to challenges just beyond your current capacity, the negotiations where the stakes are higher than before, the projects that require a skill you have not yet mastered, the goals that force you to lead at a greater scale. Without this push, you will find yourself repeating what you already know how to do, mistaking repetition for progress. Comfort is the silent assassin of mastery, not because it kills suddenly, but because it lets your skills decay in peace. The art of guarding the gate becomes more critical the further you advance. In the beginning, you had to guard against obvious threats, lazy habits, negative people, poor information. But once you become formidable, the threats become subtle. They arrive disguised as opportunity. They wear the clothing of flattery, partnership, even friendship. They do not attack your strengths directly. They distract you from using them. Guarding the gate at this level means scrutinizing not only the people and ideas that enter your mind, but the direction they point you in. An ally who encourages you to enjoy the rewards too soon is more dangerous than an enemy who tries to block your path. The refinement of inner metrics is another secret of long-term mastery. The beginner measures success by visible gains, the income, the position, the recognition. The master measures by alignment. How closely did today's actions match the standard I have set? How pure was my decision-making under pressure? How much sharper is my thinking compared to last month? This inner scoreboard cannot be faked, and it cannot be bought. It forces you to hold yourself to a higher level than the world demands, which is why, over time, the world ends up demanding your level as its new standard. The use of controlled exposure is a deliberate practice few understand. Emotional detachment is not built by hiding from intensity. It is built by facing it in controlled conditions until it loses its power over you. The fighter trains under heavier pressure than the match will require. The negotiator rehearses under more hostile questioning than he expects in the real meeting. The leader practices decision-making with incomplete data, so that when the real uncertainty comes, he moves without hesitation. By deliberately stepping into small storms, you become immune to the larger ones. And finally, there is the discipline of self-expansion. This is the habit of building capacities you do not yet need, for situations you have not yet faced. Most people grow reactively only when forced by circumstance. The master grows proactively, knowing that opportunities often arrive after the capacity to handle them has been built. He learns skills before the need for them is urgent. He studies markets before he enters them. He cultivates relationships before he needs them. This makes him appear lucky, but luck is only the meeting of preparation with opportunity. He creates both. You have already built control over yourself now. You must design yourself into something the world cannot easily replace. This is not done by chance. It is done by construction. An irreplaceable mind is built on three pillars: depth, range, and signal. Depth is your ability to think further, see clearer, and act more precisely than the majority. It comes from drilling down into your craft until you understand it at levels that the casual player will never reach. Depth is why, when conditions change, you adapt faster because you understand the underlying mechanics, not just the surface trends. To build depth, you must go past competence into mastery. You study the history of your field, not just the present. You know why things work, not just that they do. You can teach principles so clearly that even a novice grasps them, a sign you have stripped away confusion in your own mind. Range is your ability to connect what others see as unrelated. The irreplaceable thinker draws from multiple disciplines, blending them into solutions no specialist could reach. A disciplined investor might apply psychological principles to market timing. A strategist might borrow from military history to structure a business expansion. This cross-pollination creates insights your competition never sees coming. Range is built by deliberate exposure to fields outside your own, not to distract you, but to give you raw material for innovation. It is the quiet advantage of reading what others ignore, listening to those outside your echo chamber, traveling not just to move but to observe. Signal is the rarest pillar. It is the clarity and weight of your ideas in a noisy world. Most people speak but do not transmit. their words are lost in the static of the ordinary. The irreplaceable mind speaks, writes, moves in such a way that the message cuts through instantly without the need for repetition. Signal is built not by speaking more, but by removing everything unnecessary. It is precision. It is truth stated so clearly and powerfully that it becomes impossible to ignore. It is action taken so decisively that it redefines the standard. When depth, range, and signal combine, you become what I call a keystone player, a person whose absence would collapse entire structures because you hold a position not in title, but in indispensable function. Companies, markets, even competitors must work around you rather than replace you. But to keep this position, you must practice dynamic positioning, always shifting yourself into the space where your combination of skills, knowledge, and perspective is unmatched. You never stand in the open where you can be imitated. You position yourself where anyone trying to copy you would have to rebuild your entire journey. This is why self-expansion never stops. The moment you stop sharpening depth, expanding range, or clarifying signal, you create space for someone to encroach. The irreplaceable mind does not fear competition. It simply stays ahead of it so completely that competition becomes irrelevant. And in this position, something remarkable happens. You no longer chase opportunity. Opportunity begins to orbit you. The market seeks you because you think in a way it cannot find elsewhere. Allies seek you because your clarity calms their uncertainty. Even adversaries begin to respect you because your steadiness makes you predictable in the best sense they know you will not break, and this shapes their decisions around you. This is the architecture of the irreplaceable mind. It is not a title you earn once. It is a position you defend daily by living above the standard the world sets. Presence is not charisma, in the shallow sense, the easy charm of a smile or a firm handshake. Presence is the invisible gravitational field you carry with you, the weight of certainty that makes others measure themselves against you without knowing why. It is built not by performance but by alignment, when what you think, what you say, and what you do are so integrated that they transmit absolute conviction. The first law is the law of silent claim. You establish ownership of the room without announcing it. The insecure demand attention, the master assumes it. You do not need to prove yourself at every turn. Your posture, tone, and economy of words make clear that you have nothing to prove. The second law is the law of predictable strength. In times of calm, anyone can seem composed. Your power is measured by your composure when chaos erupts. The strategist who remains unshaken when others falter becomes the natural point of orientation. In business, this means your opinion carries more weight in a crisis than it does in routine because the calm in your voice is rare when fear is common. The third law is the law of strategic silence. You do not rush to fill the void. The untrained fear silence because it forces them to feel the weight of the moment. The master uses silence as a blade, letting it cut through the noise, forcing others to reveal their intentions, and making every word that follows more powerful. The fourth law is the law of controlled contrast. You reveal your full strength sparingly. Like a blade kept sheathed until the decisive moment, your full capacity is not on display at all times. This forces others to keep recalculating your limits, and in doing so, they overestimate them. The fifth law is the law of anchored identity. You become known for qualities so consistent that they define you in the minds of others: precision, reliability, unshakable discipline. These anchors make you the reference point in any group. When a decision must be made, the question becomes, what would they do? And in this way, you guide action even in your absence. The final law is the law of directed gravity. You do not pull everything toward you indiscriminately. You decide what belongs in your orbit, and you make that orbit costly to enter. Those who gain access value it more, defend it more, and work harder to remain within it. When these laws are applied, your presence becomes a force multiplier. Rooms calm when you enter. Decisions accelerate when you speak. Momentum shifts in your direction not because you demand it, but because everything about you signals that following your lead is the safest and most profitable choice. And when your inner discipline meets this outer influence, you have reached the point Napoleon Hill would have called the master of fate, a person no longer pushed by events, but shaping them as deliberately as a sculptor shapes stone. You will leave here today not simply with ideas, but with a standard one that admits no return to mediocrity. You will carry your purpose like an unbending line through the noise. You will train your discipline until it no longer negotiates with comfort. You will guard your detachment as you would guard a fortress. Feed your accurate thinking with the purest facts. Strike with initiative before permission is granted, and stand with persistence when others have abandoned the field. You will sharpen, guard, refine, expand. You will build depth, range, and signal until you are irreplaceable. You will hold presence so steady that rooms orient around you without command. And you will do it daily, without spectacle, without apology, without compromise. For this is the path not of the ordinary, but of the exceptional. And the exceptional do not wait for the world to move. They move first, and the world follows.